Okay, guys, third and final week of our individual events for our Intramural Open. So this week we have CrossFit Open 25.3. From next week, or our fourth week, we're going to have some team events. So they'll be announced during the week. So less reliance on strength and fitness and a bit more fun and a bit more teamwork in those ones. So last event today, for this week, we have wall walks, we have rowing, we have some deadlifts, some cleans, and some snatches. So guys, you guys are all familiar with most of those movements. It'll just be the wall walks that might be new for some of you. Don't worry, we'll run through the scaling options and we'll also run through some tips to make them most efficient for tomorrow. So first up we want you to treat it like a 20-minute workout. So there is a 20-minute time cap. The top athletes finished in under 10 minutes. We aren't going to be pushing anywhere near that. So the vast majority of us are going to be working for 20 minutes. So we want you to think that way from the start. If you think about the workout starts with 5 wall walks and then 50 calories on the rower. If you knew you were working for 20 minutes, how fast would that first row be? It would be pretty slow and comfortable, knowing you've got a lot of work to come after that. So from the start, think about this is 20 minutes. It's not certain sections of the workout. I have to pace this row because I've got a lot of work to come afterwards.
So the next step is splitting everything up early. So the reps this weekend for our barbell movements are 25 for each. So 25 deadlifts, 25 cleans, 25 snatches. Although that seems like a small number, we want to break them up early so that we are less fatigued later on. So it's likely that you're going to be pretty shoulder fatigued from your wall walks. So breaking up your barbell lifts are going to help you be more effective and more efficient in your wall walks as well. We also want to split up our wall walks as well. So 5 might seem like a pretty easy number, but we're doing that multiple times. So in the first round, so 3, 2, 1, go, we're not doing 5 as fast as possible. We're going to do 1, have a bit of a rest, and then do number 2.
So as Jenna just spoke about, splitting up those barbell movements is really important. Even if you can do 10 or 15 of your deadlifts unbroken, is there much point? If you then need to have a big rest and then you're doing 5 and then you're doing 5, or are you better off just splitting it up early, saving your breath, saving everything for later on in the workout? So the athlete that won the announcement this morning in under 10 minutes, he split his deadlifts up. For him, he could do 25 unbroken, no issues. He did 5, dropped the bar, quick rest, picked it up, 5 again. So for most of you, it wouldn't be sets bigger than 5. I think I'm probably going to do 2s, or even quick singles is a better outcome than holding onto a big set, either getting muscular fatigued or your heart rate jumps up and then you're kind of in that hole for the rest of the workout. Now we're going to talk about the wall walks and the wall walk standards. So we're going to run through both RX and scaled. So we'll show you what both look like, and then you can have a decision on what you want to do tomorrow. Try them out in the morning. But we'll run through both of those standards because they're quite different. Where your fingers start, where they finish is going to be different for both of those. So we'll show you those now. For our wall walks, we have 2 options. So the RX version, men will go from the white tape line, women from the yellow tape line. That's regardless of height. So you need to start with at least a finger from each hand on each side. So for me, I'm going from the white line. Fingers have to start on the line. We have to start chest and thighs on the ground and feet on the ground. And then before my hands can move off the line, both of my feet need to be up off the floor. So what I'll do is reach up. Once my second foot comes up off the ground, I can start walking my hands up. I need both of my hands to touch this white line next to the wall. I'll walk back down. Both hands need to touch this white line again before I can come back down. And then in between each rep, my thighs and chest and feet need to touch the ground again. As we were talking about before, resting, you would want to rest arms outside or overhead. This isn't a very good resting position. So if you're going to be spending any time on the ground, just rest those arms out, come back in when you're ready to go. Women will go from the yellow line for RX. Then for our scaled option, both males and females will go from the yellow line. This standard is different. Your whole hand has to be over the yellow line to start with, and it needs to finish behind the line. Still need to get both feet on the wall, but you don't need to walk any further back towards the wall with those hands. So we'll again start with feet, thighs, and chest on the ground. All of my hand has to be this side of the yellow line. I need to get both feet. Wasn't a good start. My hands are on the line. I'll get both feet up on the wall, and then I step both hands past that line, step them back over, and then I can bring my feet back down. And in between each rep, I need to have my feet, chest, and thighs on the ground. Also remembering for both RX and scaled, you need to finish back down in this position. So I don't finish my last wall walk. So I'm coming back down, crash to the ground, and then walk over. I need to finish thighs, chest, and feet on the ground. So a closer look at the lines. We have, say I'm using the white line and I'm doing RX. I need to start with at least my fingertips on the line, and I'll need to head back to the line towards the wall, and then I need to come back both hands, some part, it can be one finger. You can go further over if you want to, but one part of each hand needs to touch the line before your feet come back down to the ground. For those of you doing scaled, you'll need to start with all of your hand on this side of the yellow line, regardless of you're male or female. So they need to get here. Both feet need to come off the ground before your hands move. Then you need to move them until all of your hand passes this side of the yellow tape. Then you'll come back down, need both parts of both hands over that side of the yellow line again before your feet touch the ground. So quite different standards from RX to scaled. Okay, and then some tips for your wall walks, either scaled or RX. These will both transfer across. Our first one is to get overhead as soon as possible. So we're going to be stronger in a locked out, more overhead position than we are here. So what we don't want to do is start here, get both of my feet on the wall, but in more of this plank position. I'm more likely to sag down, but I'm having to press through and then walk my hands up, which is going to be a lot harder than if I get into that overhead position first. So what we're going to think about is getting into a TP position, shooting our bum up towards the ceiling before we bring our feet up. And then we're going to bring one leg up as high as we can. I'll show you first the TP position. So if I'd be here, I'm ready to go. I bring my bum up into this TP position before I move my feet. The next stage would be getting one leg up as high up the wall as I can. If I get one up and I press through the floor, I bring my other leg up and I'm in a pretty good overhead position already. If I bring this leg up just a little bit and then I'm in here, now I'm trying to straighten my leg out as I'm walking up that position. So just think about getting that one leg up, second leg on the wall, then in that overhead position, keep walking through. So I'll show you what a good rep should look like. So get into that TP, one leg up, other leg up, walk my hands up, both of them touch the line, come back down, chest and hips to the ground. And if getting into a TP position straight onto your toes is a little bit too challenging, another thing we can do is starting in your starting position, come up into that TP on your knees first of all, so you're getting into more of that overhead position, then we can come onto our toes and then we can bring that foot up. So in this first stage of the movement, it doesn't matter how long you spend or how many stages to get there. The main thing is getting into the most efficient position to make the rep as easy as possible. So we're thinking about it not as 5 wall walks, you're thinking about it as a wall walk and then you've got a rest in between, and that rest is determined by how efficient you are during the rep. The last thing we're going to talk about is not wasting time at the top. So bottom position, very good to rest. You're supported by the floor. You can have your arms out, nice and easy to breathe. The top position is going to be one of the hardest positions to hold besides the middle. So we don't want to spend a heap of time there. As soon as your second hand touches the line, you can come back down. So you don't need to push through. You don't have to try and get your chest to the wall. You don't have to feel long. The standard is get one hand on the line, get the second one. As soon as it touches, you can come back off and get into your second rep. So what it would look like, we're putting this all together. So I'll get one hand on the line, other one touches, and then same again in that bottom position. Soon as my second hand touches, I'm just gonna let myself controlled drop to the floor.
So as I discussed before, we want to break your wall walks early. So it's not about doing them as fast as possible where you're going to fatigue your shoulders. We want to think about what that later round looks like. So the fourth wall walks in around why we're going to break them up early so that we can be less fatigued later on and be more efficient and effective. We also just want to make sure that we're, because it is our snatches and our cleans are almost shoulders related as well. We don't want to fatigue ourselves for our lifts either. When we're breaking our wall walks, we really want to focus on resting in the best possible position at the bottom of the rep. So if I just have my hands at the width that I would normally do a burpee at, I'm actually fatiguing all my shoulders, all my traps, everything. If I lay nice and flat on the ground, hands beside me, hands above my head, I'm giving myself the best way to relax and reduce fatigue later on.
And last up, we have our barbell lifts. So our deadlifts, our cleans, and our snatches. These aren't new to us, so we do them fairly regularly. Probably the snatches we don't do quite as much. The standards will be the same as in class, but we'll run through them now just so you know what you're looking for when you're judging, what you should be feeling when you're and when you're competing, and if you get no reps, you'll know what you're looking for. So altogether, we should be, as we said at the start, treating this as a 20-minute workout, and you're just chipping away at these different sections. Think about how one is going to affect the next one. If you start a little bit slow, you can always pick up the pace towards the end. If you start too fast, you've dug your hole, and unfortunately, you're going to rest in there for the remainder of the 20 minutes. So just think about that, pacing it from the start, and just making yourselves proud with your effort.
We just want to acknowledge how proud we are as coaches around what you're doing on the weekend. We've had a couple of firsts, we've had a few people pushing beyond what they normally do, and they're making themselves really proud. But also the community aspect of what we're seeing on the weekend, the judging, the people cheering others on. We really love that this is Fit Project right now, and we really look forward to this weekend and next weekend to continue that cheer and that camaraderie. But we did want to make a special note of your efforts last weekend. Although it was challenging and it was new movements, you all did exceptionally well.